So, She-Hulk's future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Yeah, it's kind of on the ropes. Today, we're going to break down all the rumors, the intense backlash, and the real-world drama that could mean we see a new Jen Walters before her biggest movie ever. Let's get right into it. And this is the big one, isn't it? This is the question that's got the entire MCU fandom buzzing. We've got the epic Avengers Secret Wars coming up. And we have to ask, is the She-Hulk we all know about to be written out? Or even worse, replaced? So, where did all this talk even start? Well, like a lot of these things, it all kicked off with an absolute bombshell of a rumor, and it's tied directly to one of the most hyped MCU movies of all time. A pretty well-known Marvel leaker, one who's often on the money, dropped this on social media, and the claim is just incredibly blunt. Marvel has huge plans for She-Hulk, but the star Tatiana Maslany is reportedly not interested. And that leaves the studio with two really tough choices. Either write the character out of the movie completely or find a brand new actress to fill those shoes. Okay, but a rumor is just a rumor, right? Well, not exactly. This isn't just some anonymous post floating around. The rumor actually got a huge boost from a critical piece of visual evidence, some concept art that popped up online and then, poof, vanished. So check this out. This art, which was shared by a Marvel artist, basically spilled the beans on the original plan. First off, the She-Hulk you see there, that is 100% Tatiana Maslany's version. And second, she's hanging out with Hulk and Scar in this medieval-looking city where, well, everyone is a Hulk. For comic fans, this place is instantly recognizable as Greenland, and it confirms She-Hulk was supposed to be a key part of this massive Hulk family story in Secret Wars. So, the plan was clearly there. It was solid. But that doesn't explain the problem, does it? Why on earth would such a celebrated actress walk away from a role this huge in the biggest franchise on the planet? Well, the answer seems to come down to the crushing pressure and negativity that came with the job. To really get that, you've got to rewind back to 2022. That's when her Disney Plus show, She-Hulk Attorney at Law, came out. And you remember, the show was super meta, it was fun and comedic, but the reaction in the real world, well, that wasn't exactly a laugh riot for the people who made it. It took a few years, but in a really honest interview, Maslany finally opened up about that whole experience. She called the fan backlash vitriolic and said it felt like she and the show just became this magnet for a crazy amount of negativity that was just really tough to handle. And here's the thing that's so important to get. This wasn't just a handful of bad reviews. The show's creator was so smart, she literally wrote the finale to make fun of online trolls. But actually living through that kind of hate in real life was clearly a huge weight. I mean, Maslany said that even years later, people still go back to her old Instagram posts just to leave nasty comments. It's just relentless. But the heat wasn't just coming from faceless people online. The whole situation escalated. It went from online comments to a full-blown, very public showdown between Maslany and, well, her own bosses, the Walt Disney Company. And what lit the fuse? It was the temporary suspension of late-night host Jimmy Kimmel by the Disney-owned network ABC. Now, in response to that, Tatiana Maslany decided she was not going to sit on the sidelines. She took a stand, and boy, did she do it in a way no one could ignore. She posted this message right to her Instagram story, but look at the picture she put it on top of. A behind-the-scenes shot of her in the She-Hulk motion capture suit. This wasn't just some random political take. This was a direct shot at her own studio, using the very character they pay her to be. Talk about a bold move. And it's really important to point out, she wasn't the only one. Her on-screen cousin, the Hulk himself, Mark Ruffalo, also called out Disney. And another Marvel star, Pedro Pascal, posted his support for Kimmel too. You had some of the studio's biggest stars forming a pretty unified front. And you might be wondering, did any of this actually do anything? Oh, you bet it did. This campaign had a real, measurable impact. Reports from back then showed that cancellations for Disney's streaming services literally doubled. The company's stock took a serious hit, wiping out nearly $5 billion in value. This wasn't just online noise. It hit them right in the wallet. So you've got this perfect storm, right? You have fan backlash leading to personal burnout, which then fuels this huge public fight with the studio. It's a messy situation. But it does make you wonder, has Marvel ever had to replace a Hulk before? Yes, they have, but comparing the two situations is fascinating. You go back to 2008 with Edward Norton as Bruce Banner. Why did he leave? It was mostly classic Hollywood stuff. Creative differences, a fear of getting typecast. He wanted something darker, Marvel wanted a blockbuster. But fast forward to today, and the pressures are from a completely different universe. Maslany's potential exit is all tied up in modern issues, intense, toxic fan culture, and the willingness of a star to publicly battle their own studio over politics. Which brings us right back to the present day, and this giant, gamma-powered question mark hanging over Secret Wars. After everything that's happened, what in the world does this all mean for the character and for what was supposed to be a massive MCU storyline? What's really clear is that Marvel was already planning to shake up her story in a big way. In the Secret Wars comics, She-Hulk is the leader of an incredible all-female team called A-Force. But that leaked movie art? It points to a totally different path, putting her in Greenland, the Kingdom of Hulks, right alongside Bruce and Scar. So her role was already being changed pretty drastically. So this basically leaves Marvel Studios at a crossroads with 3 doors, and none of them look particularly easy to open. Do they just recast the part and move on with the Greenland story with a new actress? Do they scrap that whole plotline and just write her out of the movie? Or is there some way to patch things up and convince Tatiana Maslany to come back for this epic movie event? And on top of all this drama, there's just simple logistics. Even if everyone wanted to make this work, Tatiana Maslany has a crazy busy schedule. Trying to squeeze a mammoth production like Secret Wars in there would be a huge challenge, even if everything was perfect. At the end of the day, all the evidence points to a seriously strained relationship and a massive decision that Marvel has to make. Will they find a way to reconcile with their star, or is the next She-Hulk we see on the big screen going to have a completely different face? The entire fate of Jen Walters is just hanging in the balance.